Preface. The idea for this book emerged from conversations between the editors, in particular during visits by JDA to South Africa to work with BS on plantation pests and the ecology of invasive forest insects. In the process of these discussions, we realized that the field of forest entomology and pathology had changed dramatically in recent years. This was primarily due to altered distributions and patterns of interactions among insects, fungal pathogens, and trees, the emergence of new technologies and increased emphasis on multidisciplinary solutions to problems. In light of these changes, we felt it was time for an update. The scope of this book is intentionally broad, introducing the audience to the diversity of insects and the roles that they play in forest ecosystems. Although much of the impetus to study insects in forest ecosystems comes from the premise that an understanding of their ecology would facilitate management of pest species, this volume covers the beneficial and negative impacts insects have on forest health. There are several excellent books and reviews that provide more in-depth treatment of many of the topics covered in this book. This book is intended, however, to be a comprehensive introduction to the discipline of forest entomology. Recognition of the value of forest and woodland ecosystem services continues to increase. For example, it has been estimated that globally ca. 1 in 6 people rely on forests for food and many more rely on non-food forest ecosystem services, e.g. carbon storage, wood, and wood products resources. The significance of forest and woodland ecosystem services is expected to increase as human population levels increase globally. Coincident with the increase in demand for forest ecosystem services has been an increase in the frequency and severity of disturbances experienced by forest ecosystems. Altered distributions and patterns of interactions among forest insects, fungal pathogens, and trees, as a consequence of these disturbances, have contributed to these dramatic increases. Considerable research has been conducted to understand the drivers of these disturbances, their impacts, and how to prevent them and mitigate their impact. There are numerous new and emerging technologies that have increased our understanding of the importance and impacts of insects in forest ecosystems, the factors that influence their distribution and abundance, and how to mitigate the impacts of pest species. This book provides an introduction to this literature. This book is organized into 4 sections with different learning objectives. 1. The first section is a series of 8 chapters designed to introduce the reader to the discipline of forest entomology. First, the reader is introduced to insects and their importance. Chapter 1. Followed by a general discussion of direct relationship between insect morphology and how they function, Chapter 2, and the diversity of arthropods, with an emphasis on insects, in forest ecosystems, Chapter 3. The reader is then introduced to the topics of insect ecology, Chapter 4, population dynamics, Chapter 5, insect natural enemy interactions, Chapter 6, and insect-plant interactions, Chapter 7, all with an emphasis on forest insects. Section 1 ends with a comprehensive treatment of insect and forest succession, Chapter 8. 2. The next section introduces the reader to the principal insect feeding groups. Foliage feeders, Chapter 9. Bark beetles, Chapter 10. Ambrosia beetles, Chapter 11. Woodburers, Chapter 12. Sapsuckers, Chapter 13. Gall formers, Chapter 14. Tip, shoot, root, and regeneration pests, Chapter 15, and insects of reproductive structures, Chapter 16. This goal of this section is to provide a general introduction to the primary insect species that impact forest ecosystems. 3. The third section consists of 4 chapters that introduce the reader to the management of forest insects. Topics covered include the application of integrated pest management, IPM, to forest ecosystems, Chapter 17. The spatial dynamics of forest insects, Chapter 18, monitoring and surveillance of forest insects, Chapter 19, and the growth and management of trees, silviculture, Chapter 20. The goal of this section is to introduce the reader to the spatial dynamics of forest insects and its impact on approaches to insect monitoring in the context of IPM and silviculture. 4. The last section focuses on significant issues and concepts likely to increase in importance. Specific topics covered in this section include forest health, Chapter 21, impact of climate change on forest insects and their impacts, Chapter 22, and forest biosecurity, Chapter 23. All of the editors of this book have taught aspects of forest health, and discussions with graduate and undergraduate students have contributed to our understanding of the topics covered. The content has also been shaped by feedback from a number of colleagues including Juan Corley, Brett Hurley, Martja Klapwake, Brian Strom, James Meeker, Kevin Dodds, Rincarde, Jolanda Rue, as well as discussions with many members of IUFRO Division 7, Tree Health, over long periods of time. Jeremy D. Allison, Sault Ste. Marie, Canada. Timothy D. Payne, Riverside, USA. Bernard Slippers, Hatfield, South Africa. Michael J. Wingfield, Hatfield, South Africa. December 2022.